What do you miss that disappeared during the pandemic? Being able to afford things. Same salary and crazy inflation. What a great combo. I feel this, but I'm also jealous. I went from working minimum wage during college to making really good money, but having to move to an area with astronomical prices of living, plus inflation, so I still can't afford anything. When do I get to the part where I'm not living paycheck to paycheck? I thought at this level of income it meant that I would be rich. I miss when I enjoyed my job. I'm sure I'm not the only one, but COVID really changed the way my hospital runs, and not for the better. All the good staff that could jump ship did jump, and if they replaced them at all, it was with travelers or warm bodies, and our quality of care has certainly suffered. Not to mention the organization I work for is buying up all sorts of crap, but when we need vital equipment, we are told that there is no money for it. Even more insulting is this stupid freaking robot they bought that's sole purpose is to deliver things between departments. I'm pretty close to quitting healthcare forever at this point. Normally I don't entertain when people crap on America, but for real, as someone on the inside, our healthcare system is freaking appalling. Respirator therapist here. Pre-pandemic, I was super bubbly and chipper. It was easy for me to relate to patients and families. I used to wear bows in my hair. Patients loved it and said it brightened up their day. A year into COVID and the bows stopped. I stopped being able to connect with people because everyone was dying. I became closer to my coworkers, but basically was a robot to patient care. I still do all the things that were required of me and try to do extra when I can, but my heart, or what used to be my heart, isn't in it right now. I smile and say all the right things, but I don't feel like I used to. I'm trying to get back to my chipper, bubbly, unjaded self, but I worry that that part of me died with the hundreds of patients during the pandemic. I miss feeling like I was making a difference. A slight more reasonable cost of living. Everything has gotten so expensive across the board. And every industry is posting record profits. Even the egg shortage led to the highest quality profits in the industry that had ever been seen in America. Capitalism gonna capitalism. Restaurants having late hours and, more importantly, correctly posted hours of operation. I swear it's been like a crapshoot knowing when even large franchises will close, when their actual hours don't match Google, Apple Maps, or their own damn website half the time. Picking up lunch on the way to my overnight shift has become such a gamble. Like, is that place gonna be open or will the other place be open? I'll admit, I saved some money by packing a lunch, but I miss picking up food twice a week on my way to work. 24-hour Walmarts and all-day breakfast at McDonald's. Stuff being open after 9. Working second shift got harder when everything closed after. Right? Sucks when your break is at 8 p.m., so when you get hungry, everything's closed. Need to go grocery shopping after work? Nope. Stuff is closing before the sun even goes down, and it's killing me at my core. Went to Starbucks last night, Saturday, by second shift count, and they must have been closed at 8. Rushed to get something for dinner, place closed at 10 p.m. and I got there at 9:30. Pretty sure their sanitation standards dropped by 7 or 8. Because there was a freaking piece of wood in my steak and cheese. Not to mention the crapsplosion I suffered soon after. So it's not even that everything's closed early, the standards have absolutely dropped as well. Not sure if this person lives in a town or a city, but I don't think before or after the pandemic had places closing that early. Starbucks has always closed at 10 p.m. where I live, except maybe on Sundays. Also, our major grocery stores don't close till 1 a.m. My social skills. Seriously, I found myself extremely awkward as things started opening up. Oh, and social stamina. Went to a baby shower for about 2.5 hours and to the department store for like an hour yesterday. Came home so exhausted, and I took a nap for an hour. Then a few hours later, I went to bed and slept for 13 hours straight. Like, what the freak? My job. Company went under. It was a love-hate relationship, but I suffered for it. Civility. I mean, it wasn't great to begin with, but post-pandemic, no one seems to know how to act in public anymore. I remember a viral video from the start of the lockdowns of a dad with a British accent telling a bedtime story to his kids about how the world was going to pull together and be even better after the pandemic was over. Narrator here, we didn't, and it isn't. No traffic, and no one. Everything wasn't crowded, and it didn't make me hate how people are literally everywhere. Dude, I relate. I remember driving on the highways and driving downtown at night, and there was absolutely not a soul in sight. It was pretty amazing and a little frightening. Closest thing to a post-apocalyptic world we might ever experience. My belief that most people are reasonable and compassionate. Me too. I used to be so optimistic and believed the good in people. I have completely lost all hope, and I just don't care about people anymore. Maybe I'm part of the problem, but damn it, I've lost any and all patience with anyone. 24-hour stores and food that had better quality. It seems like all food went downhill in quality. Fast food, sit-down restaurants, takeout, and grocery stores. Honestly, I've noticed that all the layoffs during COVID cut the hours and the business quality. Corporations don't want to return to normal. They make enough money now and pay less people to do the same job. General friendliness. People care less about each other than they used to. I'm a firm believer that people never cared about each other. They were just too scared of the social consequences of showing it, so everyone just got good at pretending. Driving skills. People have been driving like freaking idiots. The average normal driver, everyone on the road seems to be too aggressive and entitled, all while using their phone. My grandpa. I'm sorry for your loss. For everyone's loss. Father-in-law for us. Friends. So no one told you that life was gonna be this way? Clap, 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 clap. Paper menus. I'm tired of scanning QR codes and dealing with terrible interfaces and slow Wi-Fi just to order a meal. So true. A lot of restaurants I go to are in this weird internet dead zone, so loading a menu up on my phone is always such a massive pain. Honestly, I can't say I've ever had to do this. Is this like an LA, New York, or Chicago type thing? Empty areas. I very much dislike crowds, traffic, and lines. I remember my first proper drive during the strictest lockdown here. It was glorious. People. We were deemed essential services and were forced to work. We didn't want to be called heroes. The people did that to make themselves feel better. Now that COVID is over, the people are back to treating us like pure garbage again. Screw people. I quit my grocery job 2 years into the pandemic after being there since 2017. I would have people pass me and be like, "Thank you for your service." And then by halfway through the first year of it, I had people treating me like crap again. The level of stress and anxiety we endure was astronomical compared to years past. I drank the Kool-Aid and really believed that we were making a difference. But sadly, most could care less as long as they got what they wanted. As a team, we really had to lean on each other to get through it. And you really find out about one's character. I remember the great toilet paper pandemic. You'd wheel out a cage and it was picked clean before you even got to the TP aisle. You could take out a pallet of TP, unwrap it, and just stand at the end of the aisle with your manager just watching the absolute lunatics. We kept a stash of TP out in the back. If we saw a distressed looking old person / working person, we'd go up to them and be like, "Psst," and tell them to meet us by the staff door and we'd bring them TP. It was like being a substance dealer. Good fun. I started at a grocery store a little more than a month before the pandemic lockdown started. I never thought much of the pandemic. But early on, there would be people coming in and thanking us for working, for being open, treating us like first responders combating the pandemic on the front lines. It's not that that's gone now, it didn't even last the pandemic. Lockdowns kept getting pushed further and further until it became the new normal. People became more and more frustrated and anxious in their daily lives. Holding up till mid-March, when it still felt like winter hadn't quite ended yet and it was going to be another 2 weeks. Only go out for essential reasons, people could do that. But then it stretched. The weather got nicer and people got cabin fever. People gradually learned and were told outright that your summer was going to be gone. Any plans you made, gone. The world is different and scary. Every day, fear for your lives. Soon, us heroes on the front lines were now the only people that were allowed to interact with and vent with those frustrations. People just wanted somebody to yell at, and we were the only ones available. Man, I worked retail for 5 years during the height of Black Friday when people were being killed for items, but after hearing so many pandemic stories, I can say that it probably wasn't as bad as I thought it was. I'll never go back to retail because people are the worst. My control over my phone and social media, it got so much worse. My confidence. After years and years of working on it, I'm back to square one and older. Keep working on it. I never thought in a million years that I would be as outgoing as I am now. Still not as much as other people, but a huge jump from where I was. Getting yourself out there and putting yourself in those uncomfortable situations, little by little of course, makes a huge difference. It eventually just becomes normal. And fake it. I always faked being calm and confident, and slowly it started to become a reality. Communication, especially in business. It seems like people never want to get back to you. There was this all-you-could-eat place. You could sit there at the table and order off the menu. Everything was made fresh and brought to your table. They closed during the pandemic. I relate to this one in 2 different cities actually. In San Diego, there was this pizza place that was a few blocks from the convention center that I always ate at every single day of the convention. Doesn't look like they made it out of the pandemic. And in Austin, Texas, there was this burger joint that had a burger called the Ron Burgundy, and it was served with an egg inside of it on donut bread. It was one of the most delicious things ever. They had to resort to being a food truck and they only do donuts now. It's sad to see how many pandemic casualties there were. Now that I think about it, I lost me. I'm not the same person. I'm trying hard to find myself still, and it's been hard. I can certainly relate to that. It's interesting how fragile your self-identity is and how quickly it can slip through your hands. Thanks for sharing this. I've been struggling with the same but couldn't articulate it. I've never really loved myself, but I find I'm missing my pre-pandemic self more and more. I feel like I'm sharing mental space with a stranger. Idiot customers. They came back after the pandemic ended, and now there are arguably even more idiotic customers. There is this strange correlation I've noticed. The most obnoxious and most self-entitled ones were usually the unvaccinated ones. I work at a sports store, and during the pandemic, we had a few months long period where we had to check COVID passes to allow entry into the store, as we were non-essential. This was around the time of the second lockdown. Don't remember if it was before or after. It was like hell, because I was usually the one standing out in front checking the COVID passes with a scanner on the phone. Even though we had taped off the entrance so that everyone would have to pass around me, there were still people who tried to get in. Unvaccinated people were either trying to get in by lifting the tape or ignoring me. Some were spewing some conspiracy theory bullcrap about microchips or whatever. Some used their chance to get in when I walked away from the entrance for a few seconds. Some people were showing me COVID passes that were clearly not theirs. Some tried to beg their way in, and had some people that wouldn't let me scan their passes because they didn't want me to take photos of their phone. Spontaneity. A lot of the first come, first serve things are now booked months in advance. One small example is the park near my house has a free concert series during the summer. You used to be able to just show up the day of. You had to get there early for good seats, but generally no pre-planning. Now you have to get a ticket a month in advance and they sell out within minutes. Then you still need to show up hella early to get good seats. The belief that I had to be in the office to do my job. I am fully aware that I can do my job completely from home. I don't have to do that horrible commute every day. I'm sure I'll be back to that commute any month now. Affordable food. $100 used to get me meat, fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, milk, eggs, cheese, yogurt, drinks, snacks, etc. That would last almost 2 weeks. Now $100 will get me food to last maybe a week? If I ration and only eat once per day a few times. Meat is now a treat if I happen to have a bit of extra money one month. Fruit and vegetables are out of the cans. No dairy at all anymore. Unless it's 1 or 2 of those $1.99 yogurt drinks, which were 75 cents in 2019. Most stuff I eat now is out of the package or cans. You know, I used to be a fast food fiend and I wasn't really cooking anything, but after the whole anxiety and panic attack stuff that I've done with, I've tried to eat a little bit better, and so I don't really know how crazy things were. But I will say buying fish is pretty expensive. The optimism that a global lethal pandemic would lead to our government trying to save lives and change our healthcare structure. In the US, of course. I owe all the zombie movie directors an apology. I always said that if that happened, everyone would band together and unite with a common front to solve the problem, and nobody would possibly be so stupid or selfish. Instead, we had people hoarding toilet paper. Man, did I call this one wrong. During lockdown, I actually felt like my mental well-being improved, and this was for several reasons, but one was that I felt there was less bragging on social media, at least in my family. And there was no family drama with the extended relatives because we weren't visiting each other. Everybody was scared and locked down, so nobody felt jealous of each other. There was bigger fish to fry. Then we got vaccinated, and then came the revenge traveling and revenge dining and so-called war on labor. And my aunts and cousins wanted to hang out again. And that opened the floodgates of family drama and constant sense of competition and no feeling good because that one cousin lost this much weight, one cousin has this much salary, one aunt got this much money from selling her house. I had to be the emotional support for my parents who were falling into these dumb status games. I missed those days in lockdown when my family stayed away and kept their status games to themselves. The 24-hour economy. Everything that was open 24 hours now closes at 9 p.m. Midnight at the latest. Restaurants, grocery stores, gas stations, fast food, etc. As a person who worked third shift, I felt pretty normal pre-pandemic, but now I struggle to get my crap done, especially on my days off. My faith in humanity, seeing how unwilling people are to suffer mild inconveniences to try to reduce the chance of others getting seriously ill or dying, or make immunocompromised people able to feel safer in public, has destroyed my faith in others. The illusion that half my family and friends weren't selfish jerks. We had a newborn several months into 2020, and the people who refused to accept that were isolated, at doctor's orders. They fought against every boundary precaution we had for my son, including ones they had no problem with for his older brother a couple years before. These same people tried every loophole possible and put themselves at risk for the whole year. And don't get me started on their sudden anti-vax stance. Not only did they put my newborn at risk, but other valuable family members too. Honestly, most of them are one step away from Q. Most people miss late night shopping, late night restaurants. I've been thinking about opening a food truck only after 11 p.m. because there isn't any competition. I could probably make bank just selling grilled cheese sandwiches. My local value theater. For like a $4 ticket, you could catch movies that had left theaters months ago. Would always do special Sunday screenings of classic films too. I miss being able to walk down and catch a movie or two on a whim. Opened my eyes to older cinema as well. First saw Casablanca and Rebel without a cause there. Fell through about a year after lockdown since it was a mom and pop place that wasn't backed by a major distributor. I used to be really outgoing, loved to go to libraries and coffee shops, just to read and people watch, and loved random social interactions. After all the temper tantrums about wearing masks and people acting generally horribly, people just exhaust me. I don't want to go anywhere anymore. Flying being relatively painless. Yes, it was tedious, but you usually got on your flight, mostly on time, and nobody hit flight attendants, had a toddler meltdown, or tried to open the door mid-flight. Now you need to pad in at least an extra day, and it's scary. Choco tacos. A good reason not to have people over. It came and went during the pandemic, so I still consider that to be disappearing during the pandemic. It was nice to say, nah, we're isolating. I figured why not end this video with a personal story. One thing I missed was having a plan and a goal. For context, at the end of 2020, I quit my job in glorious fashion. Check out the Blaze of Glory video for that story. I decided to become a full-time content creator. I had saved up enough money to cover all my bills, food, gas, and anything else I needed for 6 months. I told myself that I would do everything I could in those 6 months to become a successful content creator. Things were going great for the first 2 months. I made about $1,000 each month from streaming, and I was putting out 10 videos a week across 2 YouTube channels. Then in February, I had a panic attack for the first time ever. Literally thought I was going to die. I was basically bedridden for 2 weeks out of fear. I couldn't even go into my stream room because that was where my panic attack started. I finally started getting better after a few weeks, and bam! Another panic attack while I was washing clothes. After that, my brain was shot. I lived in constant fear of having another panic attack. When I thought I was finally getting better, another panic attack would happen, resetting my brain. So this life plan that I had for the next 6 months was ruined by panic attacks. I got lucky with those government stimulus checks that allowed me to pay for my bills when my savings ran out. I lost all of 2021 to just trying to get back to a normal mental state that was livable. I didn't really understand anxiety or panic attacks before. I thought it was just people that couldn't handle pressure. But now that I live with it, man, I feel for people that have had to deal with this their whole lives, or just got them during the pandemic like I did. I'm a lot better nowadays. 2022 was also a struggle, but not as bad as 2021. My best advice is to become more active if you aren't. Start working out every day, drop the junk food, and learn to live with anxiety. It sounds stupid, but it has helped me the most. You gotta fight that urge to get comfortable and just live in the anxiety. Over time, you'll get used to it. That's it for this video. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. Put the playlist on in the background to finish listening to all the stories. Link at the top of the description. And if you like Am I the Genius, give Am I the Jerk a shot. It's linked in the description too. Either way, thanks a lot for watching and we'll see you guys next time.